Off in the distance behind me, Michael Jackson music. These people go about their daily business as they have had for centuries, snatching what occasional tidbit of tourist dollar they can. It's interesting to see how this is being worn. This is wood, I think. Yeah, that's wood. These are temples of some sort, but nevertheless they're used for processing the produce, making the various spice products that they apparently specialize in this area, and selling them. My goal is, of course, to search out any evidence of the old that I can. This adobe kind of brick and that foundation seems to be such. Everywhere are the implements and the produce. Those might be those little, whatever they are, that are drying, like raisins. It's a small version of one of those processing machines. What it does, I don't know. Lots of garlic. There's some wholesale processing. I wish I knew what those things were. First I thought they were little peppercorns, but they're not. They're kind of sweet. Just imagine what it takes to make these kind of thin baskets, not to mention the baskets next to them. Any of these things would be, those that are used and discolored, would be nice antique articles sold in the U.S. for decorations. Here, probably another temple-like building, although not a new one. Love to have the music. Somewhere or other they locked this door. This just may have been a see-through gate that had a doorway in the center, perhaps. It's interesting how those protective rods, if you will, in the window there are the same design as the rolling pins. This may be old, at least the lower portion, and the foundation. The part behind me is completely new. This looks like it's all residential. This looks like it would have been a rather lively street in its day, before it was totally reconstructed. When it was lived in, it doesn't look like it is now, but it may be. We'll peek inside. Here, the past piled up. It looks like steles because of those protrusions at the bottom, which fit into a hole in the base rock. Immediate music, huh?
Music team.
Yeah.
For some movie and some game.
Very hard to find anything other than scraps of the past. These windows may be reused from the past, but the building isn't terribly old. It's older than some that are around here. Foundation looks pretty old, probably original. This is interesting because it's a stone that would have been used in an entryway that is no longer being used for that purpose. Gives you an idea of how these houses are laid out. Apparently, this goes back 1, 2, 3, a third one, a very large one, to a fourth very large room, which may actually be a courtyard back where she is. So this gives you an idea that behind these rather simplistic front doors on this street lie perhaps significant residences. This entire street may have housed the homes of quite successful people, as opposed to, in their times, the common farmer who may have lived out in less substantial. These old cabinets here, but not that terribly old, but look at the big vats that probably the spices are put into in volume to ferment, I would imagine, because they're pretty deadly. Not only in these individual bins, which you can then order and put in a bottle, but then you can get a bottles full. Interior of a simple home. Now it is, but it looks like this room is preserved to be looked at. People just close the inner door. I'm not sure if this is a restaurant, a guest house, or both, or all of something else entirely. So here we have a similar design to what you've seen in other villages, although this has a big room in the center with rooms off to the side. But then notice this center courtyard, which is open to take in the rain that would have fallen there. And then this would have been the inner room, and upstairs other rooms, bedrooms, and so forth. And this is interesting because I don't know that I've seen this, but it would probably have been, as it is now, a worship center for Buddha or other gods and so forth important to the family. Showing me these woodcuts, which are quite old, he says. Hostel, very nice. Yeah, with the brick and so forth, very tasteful. And the Kong.
Kong, yeah, Kong, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very, very, again, very old. Yeah, so this is nicely appointed, very, very nice atmosphere. This grill work in the window reminds me of the novel I read on Egypt, where the single girls could look out of here at the men below. And there are places in China where the similar thing occurred. That house that I saw in Tongqi, where the daughters could look down and see the single men that were arrayed before them. This man, who I presume is the owner, has done a great job of making this very comfortable in a Chinese way. And hopefully authentic, reflecting how people might have actually lived in what was an old residence. Some of the pottery accoutrements he has, very nicely done, something Don Schweikert would appreciate. Girl has gorgeous skin. Beautiful face. Apparently either she's recognized or they recognize the obvious, that she's a very beautiful woman. Still don't know where I am, except I'm on that red dot right now. You get the sense that at one time all of these buildings were painted white. This may be one of the original wells that was spoken of in the guidebook. And this house, probably many of these houses have been converted into small guest houses. That must be the West Gate. I guess it was totally reconstructed at one time in the last 20 years or so. Restaurants. And in here there's a rich smell of something. You don't know exactly what it is. Probably it's a mixture of everything in here, but inside here are some kind of fluid in there, probably fermenting. Smells what's in here. And for the cook who's knowledgeable, there looks like 5 examples of whatever it is. But for the knowledgeable cook, that can be used to make a magnificent dish, I'm sure. Setup like this is interesting because imagine people sitting out on these benches for the last several hundred years chatting with each other after a day's work before it became a tourist. This looks like what I think it is, a stable. And it may well have been that originally too, although it has bars up above and that door on the second floor. Probably was a balcony though, like the adjacent place. But the bars suggest it was a need for something more, but the big double doors may make it as a stable.